From the movie having a huge problem with historical inaccuracies, to the amazing cast and crew that might be able to turn things around, here's the one major problem with Joaquin Phoenix's Napoleon. And that's several historical inconsistencies. Looks like someone forgot to take a history lesson on one of the greatest emperors before making an entire movie based on him. The Apple TV film, directed by Ridley Scott, tells the story of how this military man rose to power and took over a huge chunk of Europe. And sure, while it might look okay at first, the trailer is kind of a mess when it comes to historical accuracy. Like, some of the stuff they got wrong is so out there that it's hard not to cringe. While there are a few different problems, the first thing the movie gets wrong is Napoleon's age. In the trailer, they show Napoleon strolling through the streets of Paris during the Battle of the 13th Vendemiaire, which was a coup to kick out the leaders of the Thermidorian reaction. But the thing is, that happened before Napoleon even became emperor at the young age of 30. He was serving as a general in French army and was given command of the troops that were sent to suppress the royalist uprising. His successful leadership in this battle helped to solidify his reputation. That's actually what led him to become a powerful figure eventually. And most of the war scenes they show in the trailer, like the Battle of the Pyramids, actually took place 5 years before Napoleon overthrew the French government. But wait, it gets weirder. In the film, they make Napoleon look older and age even more. Like, what's up with that? And he's not the only person who's got aging issues. Vanessa Kirby, who's 35 years old, is playing the role of Josephine Bonaparte in the movie. But there's a problem here. Josephine wasn't younger than Napoleon like they're making it seem. When she became empress, she was around 41 years old, which was like 6 years older than Napoleon himself. Talk about some Hollywood age shifting, huh? And there's another big problem with the trailer, and that's French soldiers entering the Tuileries. The trailer showed French soldiers storming into the Tuileries at gunpoint, but that's not how Napoleon took power. He used his military victories, mass deportations, and sweeping legislation to become powerful. He only used the army against the French people once, during the 13th Vendemiaire, when he was fighting against the royalists. And don't even get me started on the siege of Toulon. In the Napoleon movie trailer, he says, "I promised you brilliant successes after the successful siege." But that's not true. Napoleon wasn't supposed to participate in the siege, but some special representatives of the National Convention convinced the artillery commander Dommartin to let him join. This is a major inconsistency in the movie because Dommartin and Napoleon didn't get along. Also, the troops Napoleon commanded at Toulon were only under his command temporarily, so they didn't have any reason to praise him. Napoleon didn't get a loyal army until he was assigned to command the army of Italy. Now, some may find these inaccuracies to be nitpicks, but it's important to keep the film as accurate as possible. For one, this movie is going to be a long one, like 2.5 hours long. That's pretty lengthy for a historical epic, so some people might find it hard to sit through the whole thing. There's some worry that the film might paint Napoleon in a too friendly light, which might turn off people who think he's a controversial dude. And there are some history buffs who are questioning how accurate the movie is going to be. If it's not historically legit, it could get some flack from viewers who want a real-deal portrayal of Napoleon. The film's length might be a turnoff for some peeps, but it could also work in its favor. A longer movie lets them dive deeper into the characters and the historical details, which could make it more captivating and immersive. Portraying Napoleon is a tricky task. They gotta strike a balance between showing his complexities and flaws without making him too sympathetic. It's a fine line to walk. Historical accuracy matters to some folks, but it's not the be-all and end-all for the movie's success. As long as it's entertaining and keeps people hooked, it should be able to win them over. Sure, there's some tough competition out there, but that can be a good thing too. Napoleon can benefit from being compared to other flicks in the same genre, and it might even help raise some awareness about the movie. Now, so far, the plot does seem interesting. Napoleon is going to be a movie that tells the story of Bonaparte, from his early days all the way to his downfall, focusing on his complicated relationship with Empress Josephine. According to Apple Studios, the film will give us a unique and intimate perspective on Napoleon's life. We'll see how he quickly rose to power, becoming an emperor with a fierce determination. The movie will dive into his addictive and sometimes explosive love affair with Josephine, who was his one true love. And of course, y'all can expect to witness epic battles, Napoleon's unyielding ambition, and his brilliant military strategies. This guy was a real genius when it came to war. Napoleon is coming out on Thanksgiving weekend, November 22nd, 2023. It's going to be competing against Disney's animated fairy tale Wish, but it's possible that the movie might premiere at a film festival before then. I wouldn't be surprised if it shows up at the Venice Film Festival in late August or TIFF in early September. And just like that other cool movie Apple Studios released, Killers of the Flower Moon by Martin Scorsese, they're giving Napoleon the royal treatment too. It's going to hit theaters everywhere exclusively on November 22nd, 2023. Apple's even teaming up with Sony Pictures Entertainment to make it happen, and the movie has the star power to do really well in the cinema. Joaquin Phoenix, who won an Oscar for his role in the movie Joker, is teaming up with director Ridley Scott after 23 long years. The last time they worked together was on the movie Gladiator, where Joaquin played Commodus and got a nomination for an Academy Award. Now he's taking on the character of Napoleon Bonaparte, and he'll be joined by Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn in the upcoming Joker sequel. Joaquin has been nominated for an Oscar a couple of times before for his performances in Walk the Line and The Master. He also recently appeared in a quirky comedy called Beau is Afraid. Vanessa Kirby is also part of the cast. She's known for her role as Princess Margaret in The Crown, and she even got an Emmy nomination for it. Vanessa will be playing the role of Empress Josephine, Napoleon's wife. Originally, Jodie Comer was supposed to be in the movie, but she had to drop out due to some pesky scheduling issues caused by the pandemic. Vanessa is quite versatile, going from prestigious projects like The Crown to big blockbusters like Hobbs and Shaw. She's even reprising her role in the new Mission Impossible movie coming out this summer. There are a bunch of other talented actors in the cast as well. Tahar Rahim, who you might remember from The Mauritanian, will be playing Paul Barras. Ben Miles, Ludivine Sagnier, Matthew Needham, Youssef Kirkour, and Mark Bonar are all part of the cast too, along with Rupert Everett and Ian McNeice in undisclosed roles. And the team behind the camera is just as good. Like I said, Ridley Scott, the famous director behind movies like Gladiator and Alien, is taking on this project. He's teaming up with a streaming service for this one. Scott is a total legend in Hollywood, with a bunch of Academy Award nominations under his belt. He's known for making films in various genres, from sci-fi classics like Blade Runner to intense dramas like Thelma and Louise. Right now, he's also busy working on the sequel to Gladiator, which is set to hit theaters in 2024. The script for Napoleon was written by David Scarpa, who previously collaborated with Scott on the movie All the Money in the World. Scarpa has worked on other films too, like the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still. Recently, he's been involved in writing episodes for the Prime Video series, The Man in the High Castle. Scott and the lead actor Joaquin Phoenix are not only involved in the movie as performers, but also as producers. They're joined by Kevin J. Walsh and Mark Huffam from Scott Free Productions, who are producing the film. Plus, there's a whole bunch of executive producers on board, including some familiar names like Raymond Kirk and Aidan Elliott. The cinematography for Napoleon will be done by Darius Wolski, who got nominated for an Oscar for his work on News of the World. And the film's score will be composed by Martin Phipps, who's known for his work on Peaky Blinders. The editing team consists of Claire Simpson, who won an Academy Award for editing Platoon, and Sam Restivo. So despite its historical inaccuracies, the film certainly has folks excited. There you have it. From the amazing cast and crew that might be able to turn things around, to the movie having a huge problem with historical inaccuracies, that was the one major problem with Joaquin Phoenix's Napoleon.